Hello everybody, welcome back to another training session. My name is Shelby Olschlager. This is Weekend Hustle, and this is Jet, a 5-year-old. Had him a bit over a month, just restarting basics, I guess. Like, he really needed to go back to basics, learn speed transitions, learn collection, body language, like in a sense of listening to me, where he didn't know, like, when my hips traveled straight right now to go straight, and now we're a bit more advanced where I'm kind of keeping him round and shaped and soft in his body, but actually traveling in a straight line. So when I go and ask for that turn and I position my hips around the circle, that he's going to stay in that body shape and come around. And then what we're really doing that's cool for him is we're doing a small circle, and all I have to do, we're using a new bit, so we're gonna see how this goes. But I just sit hard, keeping his nose, ask him to come around, inside foot opens, outside foot goes on, and we're actually starting to get a pretty nice turnaround. And that's something when I first got him he couldn't do. So how we're kind of accomplishing that is I've been working a lot on softness with the inside, getting him to respect the inside hand and just getting softer in his body and mouth. And I just mentioned I'm using a different bit, so I've used an O-ring. He was pretty responsive, almost a little scared of an O-ring because I just felt like how quick to contact it was, which is kind of weird. You think an O-ring's really light. So I tried that. It was okay. I tried a couple, I forget what I did next, but right now I have a solid shank. It has no gag at all, which I thought no gag would be good, but it has a little shank, a short purchase, so it has a more shank, more bottom than top of it. So that means I'm going to try to hopefully, I felt get a little bit more just gathered and collected with it. And honestly, if you see him now, he's doing really good. He respects it. And I like how it's really black and white of contact, where my prediction is for him is that he didn't really know how to accept the bit. And so with having a gag bit, maybe it's not the best for horses like that because it's all gray, there's no black and white, where something like this where the mouthpiece doesn't move, it's very black and white of contact versus not contact, especially a horse that wants to be a little pushy, doesn't necessarily know how to stop or have boundaries with his head. And just with the bit, he just doesn't have boundaries. And it's not like boundaries are bad or you have to be harsh to create boundaries, but I think it's once you actually have them, you can be really light. And that's kind of what we've been working on, is getting him to equally respect my hand so I can be firm-handed. But at the same time, because I'm being firm-handed, I then in turn can be light. And so what I was told, it's when a horse is kind of pulling on you, let's say they pull 5 pounds, you're going to pull 6, and you're just going to hold it until they give. Once they give, you release. And I've been kind of having that philosophy with him, and it seems to be paying off pretty well. So I just started, this is my second ride in my single rein, my running reins. So I just figured I should try to kind of test it, see how we're doing, because you can use split reins, but you're not necessarily going to ride the same in split reins as you will for a run. So I kind of want to almost see how we're doing with these reins and how we're going to get ready to do our first run at some point. So as you can see there, he kind of wants to pop his head when I ask him to shape, because it's quite hard for them to shape and go in a straight line. But how I'm going to do is I think of opening up this door, so even my hand and my shoulders are thinking of going over here. And then when I'm ready to turn, I'm going to do this with this hand. Bring my outside hand in. And you can even do that when you're practicing. Have that shape. Try not to change your inside, but my hips and everything are steering here. See how he traveled straight? And then when I'm ready, I'm going to sit back, get him to follow his nose around. And when he wants to do that, I just might jingle my inside till he brings his head back down, because he's trying to pull against it, where I'm just going to kind of do it back at him until he gives in. Then once he gives in, we're good, we're happy. We don't have to, it's almost like when you do that and then the reward is just nothing. You just, okay, you pulled, I kind of pull back, he stops, life's fine. And then we kind of just continue. And then before you know it, you have a horse that's just oh, I can't get away with that. Or she's going to kind of beat me at my own game. And it might seem harsh in some ways, but ultimately the end result is a lot softer and you don't have to use your hands so much. So just doing figure eights. He's had some days off, so, and it's colder. It might be boring, but honestly, like, I'll walk. See there, like, when I go to change direction, he wants to kind of get his head up, where I want his head down and following around. I want them to just, like, follow like a snake. Like, I think of like a snake kind of, or like they're just like their body's following. I don't know, people say like train track as well. And yeah, I want him just following his whole body up and around that turn. We'll change direction, ask for that shape inside. And some horses, like here, he wants to go fast. I just kind of quiet my body back down. If he really didn't want to listen, I would probably turn him into a circle. So I'm going to do a second circle, because right in this area, he wanted to kind of think of going to that other barrel. And I mean, the thing is, like, just do, like, you kind of want to throw them off, and you just always want them listening to you. So here, change direction. See, he's going to get up, but I'm going to shape him inside foot, inside hand, give a little jingle there, get his nose around. Then I'm going to sit down, let him follow his nose. I'm going to turn this twice because I really just want that fluid. I want fluidness up and around. Keep his nose, like his whole body is round right here. And then when I go to sit, I don't have to necessarily pull anymore. I just, you know, like we got him listening to my body, and I just have to sit back. If I do pull, I'll pull up to my horn. And that's kind of like when I do a run, that's my goal, is like I want to pull to my horn and then come around. I don't want to open up and drag my horse around. I want to get up to the barrel. I want to get here, sit, pull up. Either pulling to my opposite shoulder, or I'm thinking of pulling up to my horn. So when I'm doing this circle and I want him to tighten it up, my inside, I'm thinking of like going like this. And see what my body does as well. I'm going to sit here, my inside hand. So if this is like actually a turn, I'm going to show you like kind of what my angle is going to look like. I'm going to get up to the barrel, sit, bring my hand to center. And if I want him to turn harder, I'm going to sit harder, but I'm also going to like ask for more nose. So how I ask for more nose is just to pull up to like my center line, kind of pull up to my horn. Because that's the other thing, when I go ahead like this means to walk forward. When I sit back and bring my hand up, like my left hand up to here, right? My inside's going like this. So if I go like that, see, he's just following his nose, and that's really nice. So because it is cold, like I said, it's a good idea to do a lot of walking. So right there, when he wanted to start trotting, the first reaction is to just pull straight back on both hands, where I just ask for shape. Like, so I'll see if he'll do it here if he wants to trot. He usually does when I change direction. So right here, he wants to trot. I'm just going to shape him. Inside hand, inside foot, get that shape, get that roundness. And it just kind of helps break up, especially a horse that's more wants to get high-headed and stiff and like short almost. It's like, let's just break them up. So I'll like kind of just break up their body, get them round, and then it seems to work. So the other thing, I really want to keep my inside still. So my outside is out here. If I had my split rein, my outside rein would be over here. And then if I were to close it, my rein would close. We'd go this way. So now I'm going to open up this hand. But now that we're in our running reins, so there I'm just going to ask for shape, and then he'll go back down to a walk. And I mean, this is like great to do on any horse. Like if it's cold or you don't want to have a hard ride, you don't have to. Like just walking is so good as well. Like I'm accomplishing so much right now just by walking. So again, if I had my split reins, this hand would be on my rein out here, my left, but because I just have my single rein, my inside's on him, and he's now listening to my body. See that? So like when I go like this to step out, he's now going to step out. When I go like this to close off, outside foot on, he's now going to close off that circle and come around. And that's what we're aiming for, is like that full body. So see here, I'm going to just collect them, get them. That's kind of one of the things we're working through. So it's just like, gonna get him to come out here, listen to my body, come here, come around. But my hand, my actual like steering hand, I don't really want to change a whole lot. But now we use the split reins. I use that outside rein to balance him and hold him, which you might be able to find in earlier videos. But now it's like I can do it with one hand. I can ask him for shape, maybe not as well to the left because he still wants to, you know, revert to bad old habits. But that's okay. So again, I'm going to go up to this corner, push up to the next corner, and I could even like ask him to leave straight like that. So he's doing good. Ooh, maybe I will ask him to trot. Ooh. Another thing we worked on is just backing up. I could do probably a whole video teaching that, but with backing up, it's kind of the same. It's having that boundary. So when I walk ahead, I sit, whoa, and put my hands up. So whoa. And my hands are on him, and it's his job to get behind. I keep my feet open, which is something I'm doing that's new, but I kind of like that, and I just kind of give him that space to suck back. Before I used to put my legs on him, but I feel that makes them kind of like claustrophobic almost, where it's like, okay, you're pulling on them, you're squeezing them. Do they think that means to like go ahead out from under you forward? Do they think it means to go backwards? Like, I think it's confusing. So I like to just like, whoa, sit back, open my legs, build that wall with my hands until he decides to get back. And when I get a couple nice steps, I'll leave it there. So that's really good progress. Again, take one step, be happy with one step, build off that. So he's doing good. He's listening. We'll go into a trot. Keeping that shape. I want him to be collected here. I might need to use two hands because the thing is, my inside hand does shape, my outside does steering and collection. So once I have shape, my inside hand doesn't really change, but my outside hand will. So I'll use my outside to collect. All I do is I hinge my elbow like that. Because I have shorter reins, it might be a little bit more subtle of a cue. Like, you might not be able to see it as well, but all I'm doing is like hinging my elbow. And I kind of like doing that. I like having strong wrists. And I like when he wants to pull on me, I can be really more strong with my hands and more clear and consistent with my cues, because it's my elbow hinging. It's not my wrist. It's not like all these small dainty things. It's like a very strong, firm hinge in my elbow. And then, so that was nice. So we'll go ahead, open up my outside hand, let him kind of come around. So what I mean with open my outside, like I said, my inside doesn't change, my outside will. So see, my outside opens, now my outside closes. And I mean, he's like a hot racehorse. He's had a few days off, so you're seeing kind of like the whole process. So here I'm going to sit around. Easy, buddy. Again, my outside is just kind of constantly, if I need to, use it for collection. Now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to steer with my hips forward. Here I'm going to ask for that shape with my inside. And I just want him to follow his nose. I want him to follow everything. Go ahead. So right there, I use that outside for balance because he wants to bring his shoulder in. When I have him shaped a little bit or want him shaped, he wants to kick his hip out. He doesn't want to stand in. So when his hip's out, his shoulder is close. So I'll use that outside to just rebalance him and get him more just standing up and more balanced. So here, straight line, and now he's doing better. I just use that outside to kind of bring his shoulder back up and just in alignment, like just having him going straight. So we'll change direction. Again, see how my inside gets him shape and collected. My outside is kind of there. No, my inside gets him like in the position, the shape I want. My outside is to collect and bring his nose down. So my inside, once it's there, it kind of stays still. Then the outside is there to get roundness. So that was nice. We'll go ahead, use that outside a little bit, and then here, ask them to come around. Thinking of squares when I do this, I'm thinking of 0.1 up to 0.2, 3, up to 0.4. So using that outside again, when I feel his shoulder closer to the barrel than his hip, I'll use that rein to just kind of push him to that point here, point there. Just keeping that shoulder balanced and upright, and I use my outside rein to do that because I'm trying to like pull him back. When he's falling down like this, I use that outside to just kind of bring him back. It's okay, buddy. He's scared of the tractor. or so. So we'll do a few circles down here. Again, rounding, I kind of look into the circle as well because I feel like that helps with their body position. Like I'm rounding as well, so it makes it a bit more fair to expect him to round while I also am rounding. So I'm going to straighten up. I'm going to look at the barrel now. Get him to just follow around, follow his nose up to those points. So point there, forward, 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 point here. Trying to keep him just low, just like low and following that nose, just like a snake. So up here, like he wants to fall in, so I use that outside rein. I would definitely say this is his harder direction, and a lot of horses that I ride, I experience, for whatever reason, the left, especially when they've already been on the pattern, I feel like they have issues to the left. So now we're going to change direction, so I'll get that nose this way. Maybe we'll go up to this barrel. When I'm doing this, I'm also being really intentional with my body, that I'm making sure I'm steering him with my hips all the time. So here I'll change direction, which might be messy. So I get that inside. There you go. I'll keep going, keeping that roundness. See, he wants to get up when I ask for a shape. When I get that inside, he wants to kind of lift up, where I just want him low, round, and reaching his front end, keeping him just down and level. So here we'll go here. Then I'll ask him to come around. And I mean, you could trot this the whole ride. Like this could be your whole training session. So here, looking at the barrel, making sure I'm doing my part. Here, I'm going to look here. Go straight, collect. There you go. See how he wanted to put his head up, then at the last second he actually kind of collected. That's how you get a horse to prepare for a turn and actually do a nice barrel turn, because they're actually prepared for it. And the only way you can have a horse prepared is if their body's in position, by having them like kind of collected, you know, like engaging their abs, their heads down, they're not hollowing their back. So important for horses, especially like so many kissing spine horses. Let's get them using themselves. Let's get their, get them rounding and preparing for the turn, so they actually can. So I'll change direction here. My outside rein now becomes my inside rein as I come across here up to those corners. I feel like he's just settling into himself a bit more now. Maybe we'll like tighten it up a little bit, but still hitting those corners as if it's a square. Point, point. And I'm almost looking into the barrel, not quite looking at the barrel always, but like that kind of concept, looking, facing the turn. Boy. Maybe we'll get up here, asking for a nice turn there, change direction. Get him to collect. There we go. See how, I don't know if you can tell the difference between the left and the right. The left he's a little bit more bracy. Hey, buddy. That's okay. There we go. See, I'm good with this. I like how he's moving now after that one little moment of making sure I'm kind of looking into the turn. I'm kind of driving him around. See what I mean? Like I'm trying to sit on my outside, closing off that inside, and I need to collect him so he can stay getting that hind end engaged. And that's what my outside rein is also doing, is engaging his hind end, putting it back underneath of himself. So if you have a horse that wants to kick their hip around, use that outside rein, have him collected, shaped, following his nose, and then use that outside to bring it underneath. And this is pretty hard for him, but this feels pretty nice. We'll see if he'll do a nice move here. Oh. Good. Hey, bud? So, he's just getting warmed up. He's a little warm, but that was quite a lot of trotting. And trotting's really good. If you did a whole ride at trotting, there's Good boy. There's nothing wrong with that. And trotting's hard. Like, I was told that you could trot the whole ride and then lope as like a reward, because loping, I guess, is more fun for them and it's easier actually for them. Like, trotting is a lot of work. Trotting is harder through the pattern than loping, because loping, they have their momentum, where trotting, they have to be really purposeful with each step. And so if you do want to get a horse in shape, trot. If you can do it all nice, pretty at a trot, loping is like super easy.